guys, welcome back here to the Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check the episode out today. We're going to be talking about the forgotten, for the most part is forgotten, the old Zoom Horny Toad. Guys, this is an excellent bait during the summertime of the year. A lot of people don't understand how effective this bait is, specifically like in August and September. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on why it works, how to fish it, how to set it up, how to rig it. Definitely think it's going to add up to some really good fish for you guys over the next couple months. And also, guys, I will put my Zoom Horny Toad link and my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. If you guys would like to pick up a few using my link, that's appreciated. And also, I'll talk about one of the most important aspects of this rig, and that's the hook. And the hook we're going to be talking about, this is the Gamakatsu G Finesse nano coated straight shank heavy cover flipping hook from Gamakatsu. I'll link this hook in the description of the video. You want to get the 4/0 size. This is the 4/0. That is the key hook that you want to use for this rigging system, because a lot of people rig this Horny Toad like EWG, like with a extra wide gap. There's a very small situation where that works, but I'm going to talk about specifically with the straight shank in today's video here. Also, guys, thank you very much for everybody who's taking time to hit that subscribe button here to the Fishing Teacher. Really appreciate that. Real quick reminder, anybody interested in booking a private on the water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat, shoot me a private message, and I'll get you the details there. Grab one of those EWG hooks before we get started and sort of show you why you don't want to use that EWG hook. But this technique here, guys, is really good for summertime bass for topwater fishing. Now, one of the reasons this Horny Toad works so good, it's a very subtle bait. If you've never used a Horny Toad, it's got these little flapping legs on it here, and it makes a real quiet gurgling sound, like blip, 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 blip. It's not near as loud as like a buzzbait or a whopper plopper or most topwaters. It's very, very subtle coming across the surface. And when those fish are in really shallow water, especially if that water's hot and they don't want like a lot of disturbance, they'll hammer this freaking Horny Toad in the summertime of the year in the same places that you never get a bite, like on a big topwater. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about how you want to rig this thing, and then we're going to talk about the situation it works in. Now, let me show you first, guys, the way that a lot of people rig this thing that you don't want to rig it. Let me explain to you why that is. Most people, when they're fishing a Horny Toad, traditionally, they use like the EWG hook like this, or the wide gap hook, and they come in like this and rig it weedless. Now, I still use it like this if I'm fishing extremely thick cover, but that's not what I'm talking about in today's video. This is the way most people set it up, fishing it over like grass and pads. Guys, this is a fish losing way to set it up. It's like, I have lost so many bass rigging it with the EWG hook. You just can't hook them because the hook is so far up in the bait that you've got to penetrate all this thick plastic. So you don't want to use it for the technique that I'm talking about. The way that I'm talking about is going to be an exposed hook rig. So we got the 4/0 straight shank. I'm going to be coming in on the, doesn't really matter, you can come in on the top side or the underside, because I'll explain why in a second. But you want to thread the hook down pretty much towards the base of the bait here where it comes out, and then you're going to run it out, and it's going to have an exposed hook like this, just like this. Guys, this will increase your hookup rates 90%. I mean, you can't believe how good they'll hook them like this because you have an exposed hook. And for the way that I'm going to talk about fishing it, you don't need it to be weedless. Now, one thing that you're going to notice on this Horny Toad when you cast it out like this is you'll cast it out one time and it rides up like that with the hook up, and then you'll make another cast and all of a sudden the bait comes up back riding with the hook down. It just depends on the way it hits the water. Don't worry about it. It's like, it doesn't make any difference if the hook's riding down or if the hook's riding up. They still hit it just the same, and you can still catch them just about the same. So that's one thing you'll have to remember with that. And then on the Horny Toad, when I'm fishing this technique, I'm fishing it on a flipping stick with 20-pound test Seaguar and VizX fluorocarbon line. I don't use braid for this technique because I want a little bit of line stretch. And also the reason I use the flipping stick is I like to pitch this thing in tight areas. Like, I'll pitch it, you know, in a boat slip or down the side of the dock or the side of a log or tree or underneath a overhanging tree or something like that. But that's the way I want to rig it like that. And you're going to be fishing it just with like a medium straight retrieve. You know, just keep it on the surface. Just a medium retrieve. It's going to have a nice little soft gurgling sound. Okay, now let's talk about where you want to fish it, which is really important with that. This is a excellent bait for the summertime for shallow water bass that live shallow. Now, a lot of you guys that have been with me for a long time, and you hear me talking about it all the time about, you know, there's 25% of the bass pretty much in any lake that live less than 5 foot deep all summer long. And these are what I call the hunter-gatherers. You've heard me say it before if you watch the videos. These are the bass that live shallow in hot, warm water. It doesn't matter what the water visibility is, guys. It can be gin clear water or it can be muddy water and anything in between. They live shallow and they're hunting on the shallow forage. They're hunting on bluegills, on perch, on red ear sunfish, black perch. They're going for crawdads. They're going for frogs in the water. If a snake's in the water, they'll blast it. If a bird falls in the water. These are hunter-gatherer fish that are cruising the shoreline in the summertime looking for food. That is why that horny toad works so good, because it gets in that zone where those fish are at that are looking to feed, and it's very subtle and it's very quiet. And guys, they will hammer it in the summertime of the year. But here's a couple things you have to keep in mind with it. You can catch a few fish early in the morning and in the evening with it. A lot of people, you know, think about topwater being early or late in the day. And yeah, you can catch some fish doing that. But the primary way that this thing really shines is up in the heat of the day in the summertime of the year when nobody else is throwing a topwater. And this is where you have to run shade. So every single lake, and it depends on how your lake's set up, you're going to have some shade. You're going to have some shade from an overhanging tree. You're going to have a shade on a bank that is positioned just in a right angle where there's some shade off of it, even at 10 or 11 o'clock in the day. You're going to have the shade of a dock. You're going to have the shade of a lay-down log in the water. That's what you're targeting with that horny toad, guys, is the shade. So what I do is I'll get back into those flatter areas, like those flatter coves where I think maybe the perch are spawning or those bass living shallow, and I go down through there and I'm looking for any shade pockets. Those are the high percentage areas. Now, I'm not just casting only the shade. I'm casting everywhere. But when I get to a piece of shade, I'm really, really slowing down and focusing in on it. Throw the bait right to the bank. You don't want to throw it like a foot or two away from the bank. You want to throw it almost where it hits the rocks on the bank and get that thing moving right off the bat, because a lot of these fish are going to be within the first couple feet of the bank, depending upon the angle of it. And it is just really good this time of year when fishing's tough. When fishing is the toughest, which in my opinion, August and September are the two toughest months of the year to fish, this is a way that you can fish shallow and still catch a bunch of fish. Now, one of the things about this is if you really want to get this horny toad bite going, you've got to commit to it, and you've got to run it all day long, and you've got to look for that type of water. So it's not like, I'm not saying it's not a hard way to fish, but it takes a little bit of physical effort, because you're going back into these coves and you got the trolling motor on like a medium to high speed. You're trying to cover water because you're looking for those premium pieces of cover, and you're looking for the shade. And you fish one cove, crank up, go to the next one, go to the next creek, go to the next cove. You're always moving. This is not like an area thing. This is a pattern that you're running with it. And guys, when they hit it, they'll clobber the thing. They'll like flush it like a toilet on the thing. It's really, really a fun way to catch them. And something a lot of people don't do. But anyway, guys, give it a try. Another thing, if you guys get on that Tackle Warehouse link and get you some horny toads, there's really only 3 colors you need. You need a white one, and the white one is going to be for like if the water's a little bit dirtier or on a really low light day. And then you need a black one. The black one works really, really good if the water is sort of in that 2 to 3 foot visibility, especially if there's shade. And then you need there's one called baby bass, and the baby bass works really good in clear water. In fact, baby bass is probably my favorite if the water's clear. If you got water visibility over 3 foot or so, that baby bass is really translucent, and I caught a lot of fish on it. So anyway, guys, all that stuff's linked in the description of the video. Hope it helps you catch some good ones. We'll talk later.